All right, bud, you ready to do this? Three, two, one. We're live. It's Thursday, heading into the weekend, rounding the corner. Episode 27 of Picked Off with Josh Griffin, and joining me as always, Mr. Alex Carter. Mr. Carter, how we doing this morning? Tell the folks how we're doing this morning, Carter. So when you get up halfway through the show and run away, they'll know what's going on.
All right. So one of my best, dearest friends, just got back from the Middle East. He's been in the Army for, I think, 12 years now. And so I hadn't seen him. I don't think I've seen him in a couple of years. So he showed up, surprised me yesterday. And he's like, we got to hang out. So he came over last night. He had a bottle of, was it Peppy Van Winkle? Is that what it was called? Yeah. So.
Yep, Pappy Van Winkle. Pappy Van Winkle, old Pappy.
Some of the best bourbon I think I've ever tasted in my life. We killed that bottle. And we finally finished it about 3:30 this morning, I think. So, yeah, I've been better.
Sounds like a good time, though.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to relish in your misery. We've all been there. But I just thought it was fair to let the folks at home know that if Carter gets up and runs out of the show, that will be why.
Well, I got a bucket right here beside me.
All right. I'm a little under the weather myself as well. I got a little scratchy, nosy, throaty kind of like allergy type thing going on. As far as I know, it's not the Rona, but it could be. We'll see.
You'll probably will.
Yeah, I think I'll be all right. I'm on the backside of it anyway, whatever it is. So, not too concerned.
Hashtag professional.
Yeah, my cell phone's ringing. I didn't turn the ringer off. That happens a lot whenever I start the show. My phone starts ringing and texting, text messages go through, and all that stuff. It's like people want me to just go, hold on, fans. I've got a phone call coming in from a good friend of mine that I haven't seen in 2 years.
Yeah.
Like,
no, what happens to me is I'll get it's always the people that know I do this show, and they know every Tuesday, every Thursday, and I'll even like remind some of them, and they still will call. I'm like,
oh yeah,
not yet.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's gonna happen. All right, we got Duke Nukem over in Facebook chat says it's Thursday. The only thing that matters is Picked Off. Scott Calhorn says it's looking more and more like we're not going to have college football. Duke says I think we will in the SEC only. They're saying Carter, your volume's really low.
Well, Mr. Producer, can you fix that, please?
Let me see if I can fix it.
No, I was talking to Bobby in the back,
Oh, yeah.
Fireball says, what's up? Super fan, a.k.a. the GOAT, says, go Vols. NASCAR Ball says, good morning. Good morning, NASCAR. Hello, the GOAT and Fireball.
Let me see if I can.
Any louder.
I just cranked you all the way up. It may be.
Maybe too loud?
No. Hold on just a second. It's because it's all this new audio equipment. The computer's still trying to figure out what it's supposed to be. What it's supposed to be putting out to the stream and what it's not supposed to be putting out to the stream. You confuse it when you use a different mic source than a audio output source and all that stuff.
Super fan, a.k.a. the GOAT. I think this is the first time I've seen him on Picked Off, but I have seen him all. I mean, he's very loyal Volunteer Roadshow fan. So I don't know if this is your first time in here. I'm glad you're here.
All right, can I get a sound check from the crowd out there? Is Carter's volume any better now?
Test 1, 2.
All right.
3, 4.
Yeah, they say you're good to go.
Good to go. So what we got in store today?
And we're gonna veer away from our usual mantra of steering clear of politics, and I think we just kind of are left without a choice anymore. We're gonna get into some of the political side of this this sports world that we're living in. We've got don't forget, top comment of the show gets that coveted golden keyboard award. If
and
you've
also,
got
do not forget.
Yeah, go ahead.
The comments and likes of guest and host do not necessarily reflect Volunteer Roadshow, BCM Productions, and our sponsors. So there you go. Disclaimer.
Salute to the legal department for coming up with that beauty. But the top comment of the show is going to win the Golden Keyboard Award. It needs to be creative. It needs to smack talk somebody else with extreme prejudice. I mean, just absolute, extreme prejudice in the sense that it's harsh, not actual prejudice. No racist stuff, guys. But what I'm talking about is funny, hard-hitting trash talk, or creative. And sometimes we award for the best suck-ups, too.
Mm-hmm. That's true, NASCAR.
So there you go.
The disclaimer will be put on test today.
Yeah, it's going to. Yep. We're going to. There's probably not been a more important day to read that disclaimer than today, because everybody's got their opinions. They're all like assholes. They stink.
Superfan the GOAT says Carter looks like BBD's kidney stone. Boom, I win. And we get to choose who wins. Yeah. So you dog on me or dog on Josh, you may not win.
Oh, one of my buddies from my excuse me, Call of Duty squad just popped in. Eric Walker. And he says Modern Warfare. For those of you who don't play Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Warzone, I'm on there just about every evening, from starting at about 8:30, 9 o'clock until I fall asleep in the gulag. We got some current events today. A little Vol history. Carter's going to grind his gears about frat boys wearing shorty shorts. So you'll definitely want to stick around for that. We're doing our top 5 today, but it's a little bit different. I have no idea what's in this top 5 segment. Only Carter knows. And he's got what he considers to be the top 5 biggest debates in sports. And we're going to give each one of those debates a couple of minutes back and forth. And we're going to take a position. It's possible that when he presents some of these, I may agree with the same side that he agrees with. But yeah. I'll play devil's advocate on the other side. I'm pretty good at that. And if I have to. But I'll just disclaimer it with I agree with X position. But I'll take Y position for the fun of it. We got a whack-ass tradition, don't we? Yep, we do.
Yeah.
General Nealon's 7 memes, our dumpster fire of the day. And then, of course, we're going to close it out with our salute to the ladies of the SEC. How's that sound to you, Carter?
That sounds really great. Just don't speak so loud. It's killing my head.
You can turn your volume down.
It was a joke.
There is a vast sea of college football and college sports fans out there that want to hear what I have to say with booming authority.
Yeah, okay. Josh Griffin is a college football god.
No, I really am not even close. All right, here we go. Let's move the show right along. We'll start with our current events. Carter, what's up first?
All right, current events. Do we want to go into the dark side of this, or do we want to talk about the good things first?
Let's see. Why don't we start with Vols, then we'll go into national sports landscape, and then we'll get political.
All right. So going on, for those of y'all, I'm sure that are big college football fans like me and Josh. Every year there's the preseason magazines, Athlon Sports, Lindy Sports. Of course, here in Tennessee we have our own Football Time of Tennessee that's very popular. But Phil Steele, the college football guru, he's very rarely wrong, and his magazine is the hottest, most popular college football magazine every year. So it came out, and he's got 8 Vols on his All-SEC team, and he's got 1 All-American being Trey Smith. But those 8 Vols are, I will go through them real quick. Of course, Trey Smith, who also All-American, Wanya Morris, Brandon Kennedy, Cade Mays, Bryce Thompson, Henry Toa, Velas Jones Jr., and Brett Somaglia. So basically, our entire offensive line made the All-SEC team.
There we go.
But I haven't seen that happen where we've had 8 players make his preseason All-SEC team. I can't tell you the last time, or if ever. At least
he's definitely hyping the Vols up. And guys, I don't know if you're familiar with Phil Steele or if you follow him, but Phil Steele is, we'll say he's more right than he is wrong, or he's right more often than he is wrong. My personal opinion is he's rarely wrong.
Yeah.
There are people out there who probably have personal experiences with their own teams and everything that say he's wrong all the time. He never gets it right. That's understandable. I think that you can make that argument, but in terms of the national landscape, this guy knows what he's talking about. We wouldn't just throw anybody up here, Dan from the Backyard Podcast, predicting that the Vols win a national championship. This is Phil Steele. Everyone looks forward to his college football preview magazine.
Yeah, and this is last year's magazine. I haven't picked up the new one yet, but this is last year's. And let me just show you one thing. And I remember reading this when it first came out, and I remember laughing hysterically, thinking that is the funniest thing I've ever seen. And I was looking at his bowl projections, okay? And I just want to find it so I can show you that he really did put this in here. Because when I swear to God, when I first read it, I said, there's no way that's happening. But he actually predicted Memphis was going to be in Cotton Bowl. And as soon as I find it here, I will show you. And I remember when I first read it last year, I was like, there's no way that's happening. And I'll be damned if Memphis didn't make the freaking Cotton Bowl. Oh, boy.
Did you tear that page out and make love to it?
I don't know. No, here we go. Here it is. All right, so here's the bowl projections. Let's see if he had Tennessee right. I can't remember. Oh, wait, it's right here. Sorry. I'm having to close my left eye to see everything, guys. Sorry.
This is why we need a staff. We need somebody that can pull that up.
Okay, so here's the Cotton Bowl right here. Now, he did get Texas wrong, but he had Memphis in it, and I thought that was pretty impressive. You can read that right there.
Yeah.
He put Memphis versus Texas, except it was Penn State. Anyway. Which I don't think anybody predicted LSU to do what they did. So, but all I was saying is, guys, I mean, this is the, it's like it says up here, the book the expert cannot do without. So go ahead and grab your copy of Phil Steele. It's a little expensive. It's, $15, but check it out.
Superfan the GOAT says Josh Griffin, the second worst JG in Tennessee history. I'm glad you find that funny.
It is.
He says Battlefield is where it's at. World War II was crap. Carter looks like, we got that. DVD's kidney stone. NASCAR says short shorts are the best. I don't want 2003 NBA player shorts.
That's fine, but I'll just save it for later.
Let's see here. And then Scott Cawhorn trying for that golden keyboard. Considering Georgia is a big disappointment, I recommend changing the name from COVID-19 to Georgia 1980.
Nice. Hey, there you go. I'd put that one in the pot.
That's definitely in there. He's in the running with Superfan the GOAT, trash talking me already.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff,
I do like
guys.
the second worst JG. That was really good.
Good stuff, man. Keep it coming. I lost my Facebook feed. All right. What else is going on in current events?
Well, other than that, baseball starts in 7 days. So anybody that's MLB fan, like me and Josh are, we're a week away. So there you go. We get some sports other than racing, which there's nothing wrong with racing. Don't jump on me, NASCAR. Dadgummit. But anyway, we get baseball.
I'm pretty excited.
Other than that, yeah, me too.
So this year is the first year that I'm going to be in a American League only keepers draft fantasy league for MLB. It's interesting. It's very hard to navigate. Takes a lot of digging, finding out who's gotten traded. That's the challenge of the league is they go American League players only, and if one of your keepers gets traded to a National League team, you lose that keeper. So it's pretty interesting. Very involved. Got to check it 4 or 5 times a day.
No kidding.
So pretty excited about that. And
fantasy
the fact
league
that
baseball.
Fantasy baseball in general is hard. I mean, it's not for people who are going to be non-committal. Like it's not like NFL fantasy where you can set your starters and not look at them for the rest of the week until Sunday morning. You can check and see who got injured. This is, different guys are starting all the time, different pitcher rotations, injuries, game time decisions on players and stuff. I mean, it's pretty intense. You got to keep up with it a lot more than you do football fantasy. But when you cut it to American League only and make it a keeper league on top of that, it's probably going to be one of the most challenging leagues I've ever been in. Gotcha. But yes, baseball is just around the corner. I'm excited. Yep. Everyone else should be excited.
Just be glad we get Freddie Freeman back. But other than that, which, by the way, I promised I'd plug, but I'm starting a Brave show next Thursday night on Sports Live in the ATL. So you guys check that out, please. We're just going to be talking Braves baseball. But anyway, moving on, the moment I think Josh has been waiting for.
I'm not, because I don't like to stir in controversy.
Right, yeah.
But there are things that are just absolutely absurd. And so absurd that they need to be pointed out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, do you want to tell them?
Oh, it's up on the screen for all to see. This was from
the national anthem.
Yeah, they're thinking that we should just cancel the national anthem altogether and replace it with "Lean on Me," which, don't get me wrong, "Lean on Me" is a great song. I love that song.
I do too.
But a columnist over at the LA Times thinks that the Star Spangled Banner is racist and it needs to be replaced with "Lean on Me." His name is Ross Ebbetson. And it's... Oh, I'm sorry. No, hold on. it's not the I think it's J.D. Rosen. J.D. Rosen. Jody Rosen.
Okay.
Jody Rosen is the LA Times columnist. Ross Evanson at Daily Mail is the one that posted the article about the article. So forgive me. And he says, Jody Rosen described how a statue of Francis Scott Key, who wrote the lyrics, had been toppled in San Francisco on June 20th by Black Lives Matter protesters. Rosen argued that it was not simply due to Key's ownership of slaves, but that it was also because of the racist attitudes in the song and its Anglophile tone. Now.
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, so I guess the one thing that I can maybe see where they're saying is, you know, at the beginning of the song, Jose. I mean, Jose is obviously a Latin. I'm kidding. I know it's not Jose. I had to say. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Josh.
The poem that the Star Spangled Banner is written from is based on a battle in the world in the War of 1812, during which American soldiers repelled a British Royal Navy fleet. This was about America winning its freedom. It was not about America keeping its freedom. It was not about. It had nothing to do with slavery, Civil War. I understand that, you know, there's some harsh feelings because the author possibly owned slaves. Excuse me. But it's, you know, listen, I'm not sitting here trying to be an apologist for slavery. But during that time, it was commonplace. And it wasn't just commonplace in the United States. It was commonplace everywhere, across the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't just African slaves. It was there were brown slaves and white slaves owned all over the world. It was a common thing. The British were the first to abolish slavery. The first. The same Britain that still stands today was the first, and then following right behind them, the United States.
Exactly. I mean, it's exactly what you're saying. Back in those times, everyone had slaves. That doesn't matter. I'm not agreeing with it. I mean, it was wrong. But you got to think, I mean, those are so much different times then. And like you said, every country had slaves then. It wasn't, I mean, you can't just pick at America like, you know,
right.
And any time you look at anybody back then that was big in history, yeah, every one of them probably owned slaves. So are you going to just try to get rid of all that? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
All right, so we're going to go through this Star Spangled Banner line by line. And I want anybody in here to point out to me a racist line. Now, the reason that this is important is because we have things that we enjoy, that we are better technologically for today, that we are more advanced in humanity in terms of, because of people who were atrocious people by today's standards in another time. As a matter of fact, and again, not an apologist here, but as a matter of fact, a lot of what we know about medicine today is because of the experiments that were done during Germany's invasion of all of Europe. And I mean, all of the atrocities that the Nazis committed, there are things that we have today that are a result of those that have benefited society. Now, again, what I'm not saying is if it weren't for the Nazis, we wouldn't. I'm not saying it like that. What I'm saying is There are things that we had then, and there are things that we have now, and some of the things that we have now are what they are because of things that happened then. So, because a Nazi doctor discovers that, or a Nazi medical researcher or whatever you want to call it, discovers that, you know, I don't have a specific example in my head, but let's say they discover that you can do surgery on the heart, and I know that it was actually two American gentlemen that did the first heart surgeries. But I'm just giving you an example, a what if, a hypothetical. Let's say a Nazi doctor discovered that eating too much fat created you a high cholesterol, right? Are we going to ban cholesterol medications because a Nazi discovered it?
Nope.
I don't think so.
And
I think that's
a really
silly.
good. Yeah, and what you're saying is, that is a very good example.
So, and I say that to qualify this, in this Star Spangled Banner, if there was a line in the Star Spangled Banner that, promoted or apologized for, or was an apologist type statement for slavery, slave ownership, things like that, if the events being described in the Star Spangled Banner were about a practice of racism or genocide or some other horrible social atrocity, I could understand people saying it's time to move on from the Star Spangled Banner. But we're going to go through this thing line by line, and if I'm wrong, please point it out, guys. That's what the comment section is for.
Let's do it.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light. Now they're talking about the time of day that this battle was being fought. What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming. So they fought this battle all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of the day, right before it got dark, they were victorious. They won. They were proud.
Yep.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
Talking about the flag.
Talking about the flag. The flag, the United States flag. Now, so we'll stop at that line. There's some controversy surrounding the American flag. Guys, I hate to be the ones to break this bad news to you, but during the massive war that we had over slavery in this country, that's the banner of the side that won, and that's the banner of the side that abolished slavery. The Union won. The Union abolished slavery, and that flag represents that. So the broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight is talking about the flag that represents the Union, which ultimately won the Civil War.
Yep.
Or the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, talking about the weapons of war there, the rockets of glare, the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, more weapons of war.
Yep.
Gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Again, they were victorious. The flag was still standing. It's a poem about a battle that happened and what he witnessed while he was in that battle. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave, meaning we were victorious then, and still today, that flag waves over the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Or the land of the free.
Home of the brave.
The free, and I think that's probably the biggest key to the Star-Spangled Banner, the land of the free. Now, I get it. At the time of the Star-Spangled Banner, not everyone was free. But it was the idea that all men were created equal, and that they wanted to create a land, a civilization, a society in which all men were created equal and all men were free.
Mm-hmm.
It says or the land of the free, over the country that is free. This is the freest country in the world. And if you want to argue that, I'll gladly take it up with you at another time. You can message me on Facebook personally, and I will gladly have that debate with you. There is no freer country on the planet than the United States of America. You can come with social inequities and um, systemic problems that we have, but there is no freer country than the United States of America.
Facts.
And the home of the brave, and that's to honor the soldiers that died to win the freedom that I just mentioned before in the same line from a tyrannical government. A tyrannical monarchy. Now, nowhere in there is there anything mentioned about slavery.
Mm-mm.
Is there anything mentioned about race? Is there anything mentioned about inequality? As a matter of fact, it mentions the opposite. It mentions freedom.
Yep.
And to have the audacity, the nerve, the gall to propose something as moronic as replacing a very uncontroversial poem, an uncontroversial song, with another uncontroversial song, just because history, just because the person who wrote it was was a slave owner. It boggles my mind, the thought process that goes on with some of these guys. It seems to me like it's not about racism. It's not about equality. It's not about social justice or injustice. It's about what's the next thing that we can attack and bring down.
Yep.
And if we can do that, something? And if we can do, yeah, absolutely. And if we do that, and we're victorious in bringing down something that's been a staple of culture in the United States for a long-standing period of time, then we can validate ourselves. And I think that a lot of it has to do with self-validation.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, bravo. Everything you said, I agree 120%. And you nailed it. But, you know what? There's a famous song by the Rolling Stones, and it's called You Don't Always Get What You Want. All right? But if you try sometimes, you get what you need. Here's the thing. Excuse me. Sorry. We're in today's society. It's every time they don't like something, or you don't, you can't always give everyone, if they get offended or if they don't like something, you can't always give them what they want, because if you start to do that, then they're going to want and want and want. And I think that's a lot of the problem is they, it's not really that. I'm really not even sure how to explain it better than that. But, one thing they see they can get away with or change, they're going to keep going. They're going to keep trying and doing it. And there's always going to be a new issue. There's always going to be something else. It's never going to stop until we stop it, so to speak. Our government puts an end to it.
Right.
Okay? Now, there's a lot of things that are going on right now that I do not agree with. But at the same time, the way I look at it is if I don't like something, okay, and I don't always, I never assume that I'm like, oh, I don't like this, so this has got to be, it's got to go away, or it needs to be torn down, or whatever. No, I don't think that way. But for some reason, I don't know. I guess they feel like that they can change everything just because they don't like it.
So I've taken a stance here, the Star Spangled Banner as it stands is harmless.
Mhm.
Was the author possibly a bad person? Possibly. Was the author likely a bad person? He owned slaves, but at the time, there was nothing wrong with it, societally speaking. It's what they knew.
Yeah.
So he wasn't doing something that he knew to be wrong intentionally. He was doing what was commonplace and what made life easier. And it's an atrocity. It's an absolute stain on American culture. It's an absolute stain on American history. But I implore anyone that wants to argue with us about this, or me, or I mean, Carter, you might have a different opinion than I have, to name one country, one sovereign state that has not had a history of slavery in its story, in its traditions. Now, that being said, America is not perfect. We are the freest country on the planet, but we are not perfect. We've got a long way to go to repair race relations in our country and in our culture. And I stand with anybody that wants to do that. But doing things like this, cancel the Star Spangled Banner, completely, just absolutely uncontroversial song or poem, however you want to look at it, it was converted into a song, is it's not, we're not helping anybody by doing that.
Yeah.
And there's an old adage that is, I think it rings true. It's those who forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
And if we erase everything that this country has done wrong from its history, eventually we'll get to a generation, and it may not be now or next generation or 10 generations from now, but eventually we will come to a generation that goes, hey, has anybody ever tried to get free labor before? So we can't forget the bad things that we've done, because there's a likelihood that those bad things will get done again.
Yeah. It's just like when a person commits a crime, you know, there's a lot of people that, you know, let's just be honest. A lot of the people that are protesting to change the national anthem, I guarantee you, there's a good number of some of those people that have been in trouble, that have gotten arrested, that have been, in jail for whatever it may be, and I'm sure they wanted to be forgiven for their sins and their crimes, and they believe in second chances. So hey, so if you're going to feel that way, then you should be the same way with, the way that exactly what Josh was just saying.
The only country in history, the only nation, the only society in history to murder its own inhabitants and its own citizens in an act of war over slavery is the United States.
Mm-hmm.
We're the only ones that felt strongly enough about it that we went to war about it. We went to war over it. And by all accounts, decimated half of our own population over the matter. And the ones that came out on the winning side were the ones that believed that slavery was wrong. And that's the nation that we live in today. Slavery is wrong. Racism is wrong. All men are created equal. It's in the Constitution. It's in our founding documents. It's what our legal system is based on, our court system. It's what our government is based on. Now, whether or not some people implement those laws appropriately, that's another debate for another day. This is about the Star Spangled Banner in the United States and ripping down anything that symbolizes the United States. It's absolutely amazing to me that we fought a war over slavery, inequality, and racism. The side that won was on the side of those things are wrong. That is the prevailing government over this nation, and people have a problem with it because the side that lost had slaves. The side that lost was fighting for slavery to be okay.
I don't. Josh, I could be wrong here, but aren't all the people that fought in the Civil War, aren't they gone now?
They are. There's
Yeah.
there's arguments for why why certain people aren't afforded some of the privileges that others have due to what happened in history. And I'm open ears to those. I hear those, and I think there's validity to some of those. But we are here now. The laws are what they are now. The law of the land today says all men are given the same opportunity, the same freedoms, the same abilities to go out and start a business, the same ability to make as much money or as little money as you want to. All you have to do is work for it. All you have to do is put your mind to it. All you have to do is get out there and achieve the goals.
Yep.
And I have yet to see someone impeded by any law that we have in the books in my lifetime. Now, I was born in 1981. And I don't know of a law on the books that's been here since I've been here that has caused any kind of impediment for any person of any race, creed, religion, color, whatever you want to call it, because of a law on the books. So, and as we're sitting here discussing this, our stream is getting very, very, very sluggish. It's strange.
Yeah. Well, there's some people that have commented that too. That we got a lot of lag.
Yeah.
So maybe we should let's probably move on because it's already. It's almost 10 o'clock already. So
yeah,
even out of the first.
Yeah, 11 Eastern. My thoughts on it are keep the Star Spangled Banner in place and use it for what it is and what it means, and don't try to read into it any other meanings than are what are there. All right, so there we go.
All right,
I hated even doing that.
Moment in Vols history. Today, usually we do a certain game, or we talk about a certain team, but today we're going to talk about a certain player, and not just any player. I'm talking about a player that played at the University of Tennessee that really, in my opinion, changed the game of football and is arguably one of the greatest football players ever of all time, and that man's name is Reggie White. And I'm sure some of the guys in here that are in here a lot, I know I talk about Reggie White a lot, but there's just what he did, the accomplishments, just as a person, by the way. You don't see a Reggie White every day. So I think he's just larger than life, and we're going to talk about it. And we got a video we're going to show you. Real quick, Reggie White played defensive end from Chattanooga, Tennessee. He played at UT from 1980 to 83, was all the SEC, 81, 82, 83. He was an All-American in 82 and 83. The 1983 SEC Player of the Year. He was the 4th overall pick in the draft, even though he ended up going to the USFL for the one season that they had a organization, the Memphis Showboats, and then went to the Eagles. He's a 13-time Pro Bowler, guys, and he played 15 seasons. So that means there was only 2 seasons he didn't make the Pro Bowl. And I know one of those seasons was his last year at Carolina. So, I mean, he's Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl 31, 8-time first-team All-Pro, 5-time second-team All-Pro. He made the NFL 75th all-time team, and the 100 team just last year. Made the NFL's 80s and 90s All-Decade team. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. His jersey is retired in UT at the Philadelphia Eagles and the Packers. The Sports Illustrated listed him as the number 1 defensive lineman to ever play in the SEC. Like I said, the NFL also has listed him as the greatest pass rusher. I could go into his accomplishments all day. He's 2nd in all-time sacks in the NFL. And Bruce Smith is 1st. He's got 200 sacks. Reggie only had 198. At the same time, though, Bruce played, 5 more seasons? So just imagine if Reggie White could have played 5 more seasons. I mean, he'd have the sack record. But anyway, I digress. We got a video we'll show you. And just listen to what John Ward and Coach Fulmer say about him.
Before we start this video, I want to point out to everybody that my upload speed for my internet, for the internet itself, 125 megabytes per minute, or 125 megabytes per second right now. That's when I do a connection test. For some reason, OBS through YouTube is at about 1.5 megabytes per second. So,
jeez.
Yeah.
Let us celebrate this glorious day. Let us celebrate seasons past. Let us celebrate the season to come. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound
Reggie White gets it.
that saved a wretch like me.
From time to time in college football, a defensive lineman will be the dominant figure in a single game. In 1983, Tennessee tackle Reggie White dominated an entire season.
Yeah, back to throw. Being pursued with the jab is back at the 19-yard line by Reggie White.
For a defensive player, it's the single most impressive season that I've seen from a player at a defensive position in my time as a football coach.
Hill is back to throw with good protection. Now it breaks down. He's sacked at the 6-yard line by Reggie White, a senior from Chattanooga.
Time after time, he simply took command of the course of a football game, cutting a path of destruction through the opponent's backfield. In 1983, he became a dominant football player. And I think that's how opposing coaches always approach Tennessee. What in the world do we do with Reggie White? Playing no favorites and sparing none, Reggie White was a quarterback's worst nightmare. An ordained Baptist minister, he used his immense talent and dedication to decimate the best laid plans of vile opponents. In an especially memorable evening in this stadium, a powerful LSU team melted before White's wicked onslaught, experiencing the fate shared by other foes on the 1983 schedule.
The give is to James. Bang! He's dropped behind the line of scrimmage by Reggie White.
But that game, he took over. He absolutely took over. And if in no other way than when he somehow, well, I'm sure he was double teamed, that didn't matter. But somehow he appeared in the backfield in front of Dalton Hilliard the moment that Dalton Hilliard was handed the ball. And I can assure you, Dalton Hilliard remembers that hit.
And handoff. Hilliard knocked down behind the line of scrimmage. Again penetrating Reggie White, throwing him for a loss back out to the 14-yard line. Somehow White is just coming clean.
That All-America season, Reggie White notched 15 sacks and, even as a lineman, was named Player of the Year in the Southeastern Conference. In 2002, he received college football's highest honor, election to the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame. His life cut short last year at the age of 43. White today becomes one of 3 modern-era players whose number is being officially retired this year by the University of Tennessee. The number 92, worn valiantly by the great Reggie White, is being immortalized.
I mean, there's no greater honor to a player or person that you can do at the school, and I'm glad to have a chance to be a part of it and see it happen, and it's a great way to honor a man. I just wish he could be here to see it.
And in Vol history, Reggie White, college and pro football's all-time sack master, the feared Minister of Defense, now belongs to the ages.
I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. The Bible said a good name is better to have than great riches. So I would rather have a good name as being a godly man than I would the Hall of Fame or all the money in the world.
Yeah, like I said, I actually read. Do it now? Really, about what? Oh, yeah? What's going on? Hmm. Well, there you go. Yeah, I'm not seeing the Facebook. I'm only seeing the YouTube. And Superfan, Fireball, and NASCAR Ball seem to all be getting along. Oh, hi, Mom. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very true. Oh boy, I think I need to grind some gears. Probably. Anyway. So you know, yeah. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Well, you know what really grinds my gears, Josh? All right. So first of all, I don't like long shorts. I've never been a baggy shorts person or nothing like. I don't like
Sorry.
cargo.
Hold on just a second. Let me stop you there, Carter. I had my own mic muted during all that. What I was saying was there is a lot of infighting going on in the comment section over on Facebook right now. I'm not purposefully withholding anybody's comments from the Facebook chat or anything like that because of anybody's position. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to repeat arguments that you're having with each other. If anybody wishes to address me or any of my opinions, or Carter or any of his opinions on whether or not we should keep the Star Spangled Banner intact as the national anthem of this country, you're welcome to do it, and I will gladly have that discussion with you in the comment section. Because my position is that it should stay intact. I also said that I will gladly hand you a megaphone and let you scream it from the top of your lungs because I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear your thoughts. Because that's the only way that we can have a discussion and find common ground on how to start moving forward in repairing race relations in this country. And then that's all I'll say about the comment section there.
All right. Like I was saying, I like to wear khaki shorts. I don't wear jorts. I'm not a Florida fan, so. But I even like shorts that are above the knee. But some of these frat boys that wear these damn shorts where you got to do the fingertip rule, I can't deal with that. And I don't want to see your little grapes hanging out at the end of your shorts. I mean, you know, like I said, above the knee shorts, that's okay. But I mean, my God, I mean, when you're wearing shorts that and your girlfriend next to you is about the same length, there's something wrong. And I hate to talk about, like, to point out the fraternity boys in particular, but those are the ones I see doing it the most. And look, I was in a frat, Sigma Chi, okay, and I wore shorts above the knee, but damn, I didn't wear them that damn short like they're wearing nowadays. So anyway, that's what I was going to grind my gears about.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Look at that picture there. I mean, those guys look ridiculous. I don't know what would implore guys to dress in that fashion, but more power to them. It's a free country, as I said before in our rant about the national anthem. Listen, man, I just find it a little bit odd, a little bit coincidental that we've never had upstream problems through OBS to YouTube or through OBS to Facebook until the first time we said, all right, we're going to steer away from our narrative of trying to stay out of politics on this show, and we're going to address something that has to be addressed because it relates to this country and it relates to sports. And it's a big thing. It was an opinion piece. There's not legislation on the books. There's not a bill in the House or Congress, trying to remove the Star Spangled Banner. It was an opinion piece from a writer at the LA Times, and in days past, in last decade, 2010, if you'd have told me somebody wrote that, I would have said, "Oh, that's ridiculous. It'll never happen." There's nothing wrong with the Star Spangled Banner itself as it stands. In today's times, when you say, "Oh, that's ridiculous, it'll never happen," it seems like about 2-3 months later it's happening. So I felt the need to address it, and it was pointed out to me. It was brought to me. It's not something that I sought out on my own. We were going to leave it out of the show, and we were not going to talk about it, and we were not going to address it, but I felt like it's something that, that shouldn't be left unsaid. And that's my opinion. I have that opinion because that is my experience. That's the life that I live. And we listen. We never do this. We never talk politics. We've touched on it a little bit. We've brushed it. We've maintained neutrality throughout it. We have our own opinions, but we keep them to ourselves. This one just seems a little bit ridiculous, a little bit out there to me. I felt like it needed to be addressed, and I just find it comical and coincidental, spookishly coincidental, that we've never had problems with upstream speeds, and now all of a sudden we're being throttled.
Yeah.
And my connection, my internet connection, shows 125 megabytes per second, and my upstream from OBS is showing 1.6, 0.8, 1.7 megabytes per second right now. It's interesting. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's. I'm listening. I'm listening to it on the tablet here, and it's terrible. I mean, it is absolutely awful. We don't even have anybody in the chat anymore on YouTube. Well, me, I guess. I'm the only one.
Yeah, super fan of the goat's still in there. Let's do this. Let me try to stop the stream. This is gonna be a 2-part show. I'm gonna stop the stream, and I'm gonna restart. I'm gonna reboot, and we're gonna restart, and we're gonna see if it fixes the upload speeds.
I gotta be at work in 23 minutes.
You gotta be at work in 23 minutes. All right. We won't fool with that then. We'll go on through, and guys, like I said, we just wanted to touch on it. We wanted to offer our opinions on it. Seemed a little bit out there, a little ridiculous to me. If you've got a different opinion, throw it up in the comment section. Be happy to talk to you about it. We also have shows in the Volunteer Roadshow family that address. I don't want to speak for Jarnell Stokes or Alexis Hornbuckle and their programs and what their opinions would be, but I think if you're going to find a different opinion than what I'm offering you right now, we've got shows that address those sides of issues and stuff like that. And I'm sure if Alexis and I or Jarnell and I had a conversation about it, we would find some common ground. We would find some things that we agree on and some things that we disagree on. But at the end of the day, we would shake hands and go on as brothers and sisters and be okay with it, because we can have a conversation like adults. And
it must be really bad on Facebook.
Why is that?
I don't know. Well, I mean, because
it got pretty heated. There was some mudslinging going on and things like that. It just wasn't. It was
our usual people. People.
No, I mean it was. Yeah, I mean it's our usual people, but they're talking. It's in-talk. It's infighting. It's them talking amongst themselves. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. So we're probably not going to have a lot of time for debate on the top 5, but well, we can give our positions on each side of the argument.
Yeah, let's do it. All right.
A quick little spiel.
Okay. All right. So we're just gonna do top 5 biggest sports debates, not political. All right. So I'm just gonna run through them, and you give your, you can give your damn it. You give your answer, then I'll give mine.
All right.
And like I said, we might agree on every one of these. We may not agree on a single one, but I got a feeling we're going to agree on some of them. All right, number 5. Should Pete Rose be allowed in the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
Yep, same here. I think that's ridiculous. If you're going to,
another example of somebody who did something that was atrocious back in the day that is commonplace now, that is not anything that is horribly viewed in today's light. He bet on his own team to win a ball game. I mean, it can't get any more rah-rah than that. I mean, you bet on your own team to win a ball game, and you get absolutely excommunicated from the sports world. Back in those days, I think in today's times, that probably happens every game. Anyway, go ahead.
Number 4. All right, this one, LeBron or MJ?
MJ.
I say, of course, absolutely. Okay.
Classic.
MJ or anyone else? I say MJ.
MJ, yeah.
Okay.
Best in the world.
Yep. All right. Greatest NFL quarterback of all time. I'm going to say it. Tom Brady. Hate to say it.
Greatest NFL quarterback of all time. Dan Marino.
Wow. Okay. Yep. All right. I guess the reason I was worried about my answer because I figured there'd be a lot of people that would crucify me because I didn't say Peyton. I love Peyton Manning, and he's one of the smartest quarterbacks I think there is. And I definitely think that Tom. I wonder how much better or big of a difference it make if Peyton would have been drafted to the Patriots and was coached by Bill Belichick. But I guess we'll never know. Anyway, number 2. Okay, should women be allowed to play in men's sports?
Should they be allowed to? Absolutely. They should have the opportunities that anybody else has.
Okay.
Equality of opportunity.
Yep. So, you think it? Okay. So, yeah. So you're okay with if women to play football with men?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. That's where I thought we would disagree, but I guess not. All right. Last one. Should college athletes be paid?
Yes. But there needs to be extreme oversight.
Okay. I'm going to have to agree with you, but I'll take the stance of someone who, I understand where a lot of people are coming from. Like, will they get a free education? And yes, they
Factor
do.
it in.
Yeah, they get a free education. Yeah.
If you're getting a $100,000 education from the University of Tennessee, and they feel like every player's individual value that they bring to the athletic department is roughly $1 million. And I'm just throwing numbers out there. I'm not saying that is a value of a player or anything like that, but I'm saying if they feel like every individual athlete, their value in terms of revenue brought to the university because of their athletic performance is $1 million per athlete, pay them $900,000.
Yeah, but we know it'll probably, okay, I'm not saying it won't ever happen, but they'll never get that kind of money. Even though the NCAA makes a fortune. And I think either you got to do one or two things. You either got to pay them something. I know they get like a stipend check every,
yeah, I think
a little bit of money, but
like $3,000 a month or something like that.
Yeah, which that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. And they've changed a lot of things. That you can't go into your university's sports store or whatever, or the bookstore, and it's like, let's say Eric Gray. You're not going to be able to go buy an Eric Gray jersey with his name on it. You won't be able to do that. Now, after he graduates, you can. But he's also going to be compensated for that. But while he's a student, you can't.
Exactly. I think it's ridiculous. Here's my thoughts on paying players. If you are a law student at the University of Tennessee, are you prohibited from going to a law office and working as a law clerk? Are you prohibited from going to a law practice and providing consultation or giving your opinion on a big case that perhaps wins a lot of money and given a bonus check for providing that insight? Nope. If you are a medical student at the University of Tennessee and you are still in school, but you're working as a resident, you're working as a medical student, you're working in a hospital. Are you allowed to get paid? Absolutely. If you're an accounting major, are you allowed to hold down a job? Absolutely. That's what we've always done in this country. A lot of people have put themselves through school by working while they were in school. There's such a stigma surrounding people being paid for their athletic talents, and it's absolutely atrocious. What's the difference in being paid for your athletic talent versus your mental talent, or your personality talent, or your public speaking talent, or your performance, your acting, your singing, your artistic talent? There is no difference in the world. Some people are just blessed with different gifts. And people should be able to, this is the country where everyone is free to do whatever they please and to pursue happiness and to capitalize on all the things and all the gifts that God has blessed them with. I think that you should be able to capitalize on your athletic ability just like you should be able to your mental and your artistic ability.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the NCAA they're crooked as hell to begin with, and they've got
There's no doubt
I
about
think
that.
one thing they should change if they're not going to let these athletes be paid is from the football standpoint, especially. I don't think that because the NFL doesn't have to have an agreement with the NCAA. They don't have to. If a high school football player wants to go to the NFL, if he's good enough to go directly from high school to the NFL, then he should be allowed to. But guess what? They can't. They got to go to college for at least 3 years. And that's kind of crazy to me. But whatever.
So Superfan the Goat says he'd cut his left nut off to play one series for Tennessee. These kids think they need money, but they need pride. There is pride in your work, and I agree that you should take pride in your craft and what you do and everything. But there's a law student, a fourth-year law student that goes into a legal practice and helps them discover a precedent that had been set by a previous law, and they win a case because of it, and they win a multi-million-dollar case. They're going to cut that law student a check because they were doing work for that organization. So they're compensated financially, as well as that law student's going to walk away from that case feeling a sense of pride. I don't think that one is exclusive to the other. You can have pride in a job well done and be financially compensated for it. So absolutely, I think that they should be paying the players. And if you're being paid more for football because it brings in more money than the swim team, there's argument there about it should be equal across the board for all student athletes. But I'm very libertarian, man. I believe that the government and regulatory agencies should stay out of as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So if a university decides to pay football players and basketball players and baseball players more than they pay the swim team and the track team and everything, it should be up to that university. And then guess what's going to happen? Some other university is going to say, hey, University of Tennessee doesn't care about track and tennis and swimming and things like that. We'll get some of the best track and tennis and swimmers over here at our university, and we'll pay them more, and we'll have national championships in those sports.
Yeah.
It will all work out in the end, I promise you. Pay the players.
Yeah.
Especially let them get paid for their likeness. If the university is not going to cut them a check individually, at least let somebody else cut them a check.
Yeah, I mean, and if you start paying these players, I guarantee you'd see a lot more of them that would stay all 4 years, instead of leaving in 3. Or if they redshirt, they can leave in 2, after 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, they would want to stay, because look, I hate to burst everyone's bubble out there, but these high school players, they want to go to the school where they're going to get the most exposure so they can get to the league. They care, that's their end goal. Their end goal isn't like us, like me and Josh or some of the guys in the comments. Like, we would just be happy going to play at Tennessee. They're going to Tennessee, or they're really coming to Tennessee because they think, okay, I've got a good chance to, maybe win a championship, but also to start and to get exposure and get the hell out so I can get to the league and make my money. because that's what
while
it's
you're
all
young
down
and while
to.
your body is in its
Mhm.
peak performance shape. Yes, absolutely. Get that
And
money
if you,
while you can. And
and I
then
guarantee
when
you
your
this,
body's broken down because you've been sacked 900 times or you've been tackled in the trenches 9,000 times. I mean, when that happens, go into insurance or law or real estate or whatever your career, whatever your passion is later in life. But while you can capitalize on your peak physical performance, your peak physical condition, and your athletic performance abilities, do it. I say it. This is America. It's free.
yeah.
We ought to be able to do
What
whatever
do
the
you
hell we
think
want
would
to do.
happen? What do you think would happen if the NFL decided that they were going to start up I know they have like the NFL European League, but if they said we're going to start kind of like a minor league football where high school players can go straight out of high school and go into that. All right, and they they play and then they work their way up or whatever, but they're going to get paid. They're going to get
Yeah.
drafted.
Well,
We would have like the least amount of uh, athletic football players. I mean, it would just be terrible. The college players we would have would all be just,
not
a
necessarily.
bunch.
The startup leagues are not going to pay what the NFL is paying. So it's easy.
I'm saying,
You're kind of grabbing apples and throwing them in the same bucket with oranges and saying, look, this could happen. A startup league, even if they started
I'm not
a
saying it's
minor
going to
league.
happen.
Yeah. But
It'll
what I'm
never
getting
happen.
at is, who's going to watch that football? Are people going to be going nuts over a bunch of high school kids that skipped college and went to play for the Knoxville Thunderhawks amateur football league? They're not. These kids are going to get paid. I mean, look at the XFL. The XFL is by all means supported financially very well. It's very well branded. They've advertised and marketed very well. Those guys are making $50,000-$60,000 a year as players in the XFL.
Well, I mean, like the 5-star athlete, like the 5-star players. I mean, look, I'm talking about like some of the guys and there are some.
You're talking about as a means to circumvent college football.
Yeah, because the NFL and the NCAA have an agreement that because that a player has to have 3 years of eligibility before they can go to the draft.
No, I get
Now,
it.
there is the only ways around that. There are ways, but you have to go play in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And
What I'm saying is there's not like this is again, and I'm going to beat this horse even after it's dead. This is America. This is the freest country in the world. You should be able to do whatever you want to do. So if somebody wants to start a league in which kids can go straight out of high school into this league and play ball for 1 year, 2 years, whatever, then go on to the NFL, that's fine. I just don't think it's a good business plan. I don't think it's a great idea because there's just not going to be a lot of people surrounding those types of games. Nobody's going to watch. That's the reason why people watch college football is because one of the reasons why people watch college football is because it's so territorial. You got Tennessee versus Georgia, the state of Tennessee versus the state of Georgia. Georgia versus Alabama, the state of Georgia versus it's state pride, it's university pride. People relate to the kids that are on the football field at a university because they themselves attended that university or they themselves donate money to that university. They feel like they're a part of the program. I just don't think you would have that in an amateur league. And there's amateur football leagues all over, but we have a couple of teams here in Knoxville that are amateur football leagues.
Which I'm not even really saying an amateur league. I was just saying like if you have what I mean is like if the Chicago each NFL team had their own like I guess amateur league. Like the Bears had a team in
a farm
Springfield,
system.
Illinois. Yes, like a farm system where they get drafted.
Yeah.
Everyone can get drafted out of high school and guess what? If you're straight out of high school and you're good enough to start for the damn Bears or the Bengals or somebody, then you'll start. Or you can make the roster.
I have no problem with anybody going. I don't have any problem with anybody going straight to the NFL.
That's what I'm saying. If
I think the stigma that
surrounded
college education got way overblown in the 90s and the early 2000s, and how important a college education was for your future. You can go to a trade school for 2 years and come out making 3 times what you would make as a fourth-year CPA student, CPA major, accounting major that just got their CPA license. Now, later on in life, that CPA is going to probably come out ahead in terms of earning potential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
Super
earning
Fan the Goat
potential.
says,
Yeah, go ahead.
He says, is the college athlete a professional athlete or a student athlete? Representing your school, especially one like Tennessee, should be the payment. We need more heart and less red tape.
There's some validity to that claim. However, when you're representing your university and your university is monetarily just absolutely murdering it because of your representation, you should be compensated for that.
Yeah. Look at Inky Johnson, okay? Inky Johnson, you know, we've all seen his story. He grew up in the hood of Atlanta, and him and his mother and they all lived at their grandma's house with his 12 cousins or whatever, and you know, in a 1-bedroom apartment. You know, like they all slept on the floor in sleeping bags. I mean, you know, and he was this close. I mean, this close to being in the league, and he had a career-ending injury at the University of Tennessee. You know, that happens all the time, people. I mean, that does. You know, there's staying. That's why I think a lot of athletes don't come back for their 4th year too. You know, because they're like thinking, you know, well, if you get hurt, man, you're not gonna have anything.
Yeah.
And if Inky Johnson hadn't have been the person that he is, you know, with the motivational speaking and everything, then you know he could be homeless. You know, we don't know. You got to understand something. A lot of these former players that weren't good enough to go to the league, that never made it as NFL players, they're regular. They got regular jobs. Okay, I know a couple. I know a former defensive lineman of ours that played, played under Fulmer. He's having to work construction. Travis Stevens, who is Tennessee's single season rushing leader, works at Nissan factory. Okay, so you know these guys. It's not like because they played at Tennessee that they're just rolling in money, because they're not. You know, if they're good enough to play in the league, then yeah, they made some money. Peyton Manning's got a lot of money, obviously.
But that just goes to show you that they come to the university, they get that top-notch education that Superfan's talking about, and they got just as much pride for the University of Tennessee as any of us do. But when it all comes out in the wash, they're working average everyday 9-to-5 jobs, just like most of Americans, and that shouldn't be the case. They create something special. They do something special for us. We should do something special for them.
Yep. Exactly. You know, we should take care of them better, you know, because there's a lot of them that don't
even if you're going to say, all right, guys, $3,000 for the 4 years that you're here at the university. Whenever you get out of the university and you are no longer a student, we will look at the revenue that your jersey sales generated, that your ticket sales generated, that your advertisements generated, and you will get a percentage of that once you leave the anniversary as a thank you for your service to the University of Tennessee.
Yep. And
do it to it.
You know, and let's be honest, a lot of these players, they're good at football and they're good in high school, and they just get passed. They just like, you know, he's a football player, he's taken care of. And I know that happens all the time. And you know, so when they get to college, they're not ready for college. They're not. And honestly, let's be real. They get a bullshit degree that's not going to get them anywhere. But
right.
they're just getting through college so they can try to get to the NFL. And a lot of them don't understand the fact that there's only a small percentage that are ever going to make it.
Well, I want to address something else that Superfan said. They should feel lucky to have had the opportunity to play a collegiate sport on a national level. Now, you're right. They should appreciate what they're doing, what the opportunity that's being afforded to them. However, I want to pose this question to you, Superfan, then we'll move on from this topic. If you were a badass carpenter or a killer professional fisherman or a legal mind of genius proportions, a heart surgeon that could do heart surgery that nobody else could do, whenever you walked out of that OR or when you walked out of that courtroom or you walked out of that house that you just did phenomenal carpentry work on, or you walked away from that fishing tournament, would you want somebody to tell you you should be proud that you had the opportunity to operate in our OR? Or you should be proud that you had the opportunity to present your case in our court of law. You should be proud that you had the opportunity to work on this multi-million-dollar house. You should be thankful that we allowed you in our fishing tournament.
Yep.
Nope. You'd give them a finger.
Yeah.
Not the pretty one.
Yeah.
You want
exactly.
and that's how a free market economy works. Is you're compensated for the value that you bring to any organization.
Yeah. And
it just doesn't work in college sports for some reason.
No, I mean,
and
it's
I've
just
got my
the
opinions
NCAA's
on why.
crooked.
Well, it didn't just start with the NCAA. It started at at lower levels of football and things, and people saying athletes shouldn't get special treatment because they're athletes.
Right.
Well, it's not special treatment. It's just a different type of treatment.
Yeah, and let me say this, and I'll move on from it too. And I think I've said this before on here, but these college athletes, okay, the football players in particular, when they're at school, when they're at the university, you ever hear the old saying, God, we just lost to so and so, I'm pissed, and somebody say, well, just imagine how the players feel. I will tell you something. At least since I went to school there, and all that, trust me, they ain't that bothered by it. I can guarantee you that. Yeah, they may suck that they lost, but guess what? They're college students. They're gonna have a good time. I remember we got beat by Auburn in a heartbreaking football game, and I'm freaking crushed. And walking down the strip after the game, you could hear a pin drop. People are pissed. Students are pissed. And then the football players, man, they come in, man, they're having a good time. They're laughing, cutting up crap. I mean, like nothing ever happened because, they're not fans. You got to get that. They're not fans. They don't look at the things we look at through our eyes. Okay. They're there to get out because they want to, like I said, they want to get to the league. They want to play professional ball. If they were told they didn't have to play college football, they wouldn't. Trust me. They would go, if they could go straight to the league out of high school,
Yep.
if they said, here, you pick one, millions of dollars or a free college education, what would you like to do, young man?
I'll go make millions of dollars and pay for my own education when I'm out of the league. Right.
Exactly.
And Superfan's response to my comment about being a carpenter or a fisherman or a doctor or a lawyer, he said then I would be a professional. I wouldn't be a student athlete in the NCAA. There's validity to what you're saying. However, let me backtrack that argument and say, all right, if you were a law student or a third-year resident in the medical school, or you were a CPA or an accounting major helping out a CPA firm, and you know that you just made millions of dollars for that company from something that you did, something that you contributed, and you were like, man, I just made this law firm $57 million on this lawsuit. I really helped them out. Would you want them to pat you on the back and say, good job, kid? You should be proud that we let you come work in our tables. You should be proud that we let you sit in the courtroom with us. Wear that Banks and Jones law firm name tag proudly as you walk out the door. No compensation. No.
While you go to McDonald's and they go eat a steak dinner.
Yeah, they go eat a steak dinner and you go to your part-time job while you're trying to work yourself through school. No, you wouldn't want that.
No.
I wouldn't want that. That's just not how
that's
just not how I'm built. I'm like I said, I'm a libertarian, free market economist. I believe that talents, merits, and contributions should be financially compensated accordingly. That's it. We'll leave it there. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on. Whack-ass tradition.
Whack-ass tradition.
Ole, ole, ole.
Okay, I'm not a soccer fan at all. I don't like it. I've never been a fan of it. And one of the most annoying things is the ole, ole, ole chant. I don't know why they do it. I don't know what it means. All I know is every soccer, if you ever watch the World Cup, It don't matter if they're in Germany, if they're in the U.S., if, they're in Taiwan. They all do it, and I don't get it. So, but it's annoying as hell.
Yeah, it is annoying. It is annoying. And also the horns, the little going on during the whole soccer match. It's annoying. They've got to mute the crowds in soccer matches just so you can hear the announcers because they just yell and scream the whole time and sing those songs and everything. But yeah, it's annoying. I think it's a whack-ass tradition. But then again, I'm not a major soccer fan, so I don't know the story behind it and the traditions behind it and all that stuff. It may be one of the coolest stories you've ever heard if you actually take a look into it. And then again, it may just be something that some drunk dumbass did at a game, and everybody's been doing it ever since. And then, of course, sometimes there's some validity to the argument that may be good enough for the tradition to be cool. So, whatever. But, yep, ole, 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 soccer. It's soccer. What else are you going to say?
Yep.
All right, moving right along to General Nealon's 7 memes. You can't call yourself a QB if you throw the ball to the other team, but you can call yourself Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow.
There you go, Florida. Suck on that. I'm amped up today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while you're doing the memes,
Superfan says, good debate, guys. So, hey, man, I appreciate it. That's what it's all about, having a discussion. I don't think I'm going to change your opinion. You're probably not going to change mine, but at least we now have a better perspective of where each other's arguments come from.
Yeah, and I respect your opinion. I do. And
every pick begins with J.
Jake Butler.
Was that angelic? Did it sound good?
You better stick to your day job.
Ole is the noise a shortstop makes when he whiffs a ground ball. Yeah. Oh man, I've had my stints at third base, buddy, and whenever we called them screaming memes. When a screaming meme comes through at 160 miles an hour at your shins and you ole it, I applaud you for even sticking your glove out.
Yeah, no shit.
1980. It's always going to be 1980. Herschel Walker. I love Herschel Walker. I loathe the Georgia Bulldogs, but God, I love Herschel Walker. Where'd you get Lane Kiffin? The toilet store? Anchorman. Anything Anchorman is always welcome on this show. I love that show. That movie. Stoops. I have the most embarrassing loss on campus this week. Calipari. Hold my beer. Evanston? Was it Evanston?
It was the Purple Aces.
Yeah. I think it's Evanston.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Evansville.
What?
I think. It was so.
The fact
I don't even know their name.
The fact that we're sitting here trying to remember the name of the school just rings this meme about as true as it could possibly be wrong.
Yeah, I just know they were the Purple Aces.
I don't always talk to University of South Carolina grads, but when I do, I say $30 on pump 4, please. And the test results are in. And when it comes to Little Vandy, yes, Tennessee is the father. You are the father.
I created that one myself.
There you go. Homemade meme from Mr. Carter. Straight out of Carter's meme box. All right. I'm going to throw this up there. Our dumpster fire of the day. We are not going to get into a discussion or a debate about it other than about a minute of opinion on each of our positions. Carter, our dumpster fire of the day. Cancel culture.
Oh, God. This has been the most lively show we've ever had.
I know it. Turn it up, boys. Yeah, the comment sections I think are going to go on for about 3 hours after we end this show. Cancel culture. I do not believe in canceling people just because I do not share the same opinion. If they did something wrong, something illegal, something unconstitutional, something dishonest, cancel them. Fire them. Fire them for the reasons that you would fire somebody from a job. Canceling somebody just because they share a different opinion than you share is absolutely absurd. I am on the side of the fence that I want to, once again, hand the megaphone to people who disagree with me, people who share a different opinion. So if they have an idea and that idea is good, I can learn from it. If they have an idea and that idea is bad, I want them to scream it from the mountaintops so that everyone can hear how bad of an idea it is. So I say, don't cancel them. Just turn off your TV, turn off your radio, turn off your podcast, turn off your, whatever it is, whatever media outlet you may be consuming it through, turn it off. Click it if you don't share the same opinion. Share the opinion around Facebook and say, look how stupid this is, or something like that. But don't cancel people. Keep them out there so we can see those bad ideas on a regular basis and expose them for what they are. Carter?
I couldn't agree more with you, sir.
All right.
Could not agree more. I don't even know what else I could add to that you didn't already pretty much say.
All right. Here we go. Moving right. Oh, well, actually, I've got TikTok Tuesday here, but today's Thursday. I got so steamed up, I forgot what day of the week it was. So there's no TikTok Tuesday today. We are at the end of our show. For those of you listening, this is our kind of like little final thought segment. Carter, can you uncover your camera so I can switch over? Are you busy doing something? Are you in the bathroom?
Yeah, hold on. I know. I'm just trying to get I was trying to get changed so I can go to work. Sorry.
Are you dropping a deuce?
No. I'm outside now. So I'm outside.
All right. Okay. So before we go, if I offended anyone, it was not intentional to offend you. This was a thought exercise. It was this is my opinion on this matter, and this is where it comes from. If you have a different opinion, I welcome you to share it. It was not the purpose of the Star Spangled Banner segment was for me to convey how ridiculous I thought it was. If you can educate me on why it's not ridiculous, I implore you to do so. That was the purpose of the segment. I thought it was ridiculous instantly when it was brought to me, and I wanted to convey that opinion. If you have a different opinion, please, please, please share it.
Yeah, I will second that. I don't ever want to offend anyone. Look, I'm wrong all the time. I mean, I'm wrong all the time. I'll admit when I'm wrong. So if there's something that I say that is wrong that or educate me on it, tell me, or if it's just an opinion that you feel that that you think, oh, Carter don't know what he's talking about. Well, tell me then. It's not going to hurt my feelings. Not at all.
There we go. Not going to hurt my feelings either. I love to learn. That's what I do. I don't even listen to music or watch TV anymore. I listen to educational podcasts. Some of the greatest thinkers, Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson. I like, what's his name? Weinstein. Not Harvey. Not Harvey Weinstein. No, dude. What the heck is his first name? He's the professor from Green Tree University that got excommunicated. Anyway, I listen to those things all the time, so I'm always wanting to learn. So if you have a different opinion about why you think the Star Spangled Banner should go, share it. There you go. Top comment of the show today is going to go to Scott Cawhorn.
Oh my God.
How many has he won now?
That's 4.
Is it 1-4?
Yeah.
I can't. I lost it. I lost the dang comment, but it made the changing COVID to Georgia 1980.
Yeah, you just don't even know.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it for us here at Picked Off. We love you, each and every one of you. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for commenting in the comments section. We appreciate everything you do. Couldn't do it without you. Special thank you to our sponsors, Tennessee Tap House. Come out to Tennessee Tap House on Saturdays during game day. Pick you up some free sweet tea. Watch our broadcasts out there. Hound Dogs of Knoxville. Visit them at hdknoxville.com. Or check them out on Kingston Pike. I'm telling you, you can get a lot more cool stuff inside the shop there. And then Josh Griffin, Shelter Insurance, 865-671-6451. You guys have a fantastic weekend, and we're going to close it out with our salute to the ladies of the SEC.